Today, we're talking about what marketing really is, and that is a creative way to say the same thing over and over and over again. So, if you want to learn how to better repeat yourself, keep listening and let's dig in. Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Social Takeoff Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hayes Smith. If you have found yourself going down a scroll hole of Pinterest, Google, and YouTube looking for great ways to market your travel business, but you've found nothing but frustration there, you've landed in the right place. As a travel agent, what I loved most was marketing my business, and I succeeded in it. That's why I became a marketing expert for the travel industry. And now I spend my days teaching travel agents and agency owners how to market their business on social media and beyond. So if you're ready to grow your business using social media and other marketing tactics, buckle up and let's take off. Who wants to go on a cruise with me? No, I'm not kidding. Do you want to head out on the high seas with me on Royal Caribbean's brand new Utopia of the Seas ship? Well, if you want to get all kinds of business development, marketing training, and so much more, I am inviting you to cruise with me. Wanderlust Campus, where I am Director of Marketing, is hosting our annual retreat on board the Utopia of the Seas. It's going to be a 4-night cruise, and you're going to get some of the best travel agent education that you could find anywhere. I said some of the best, but let's be honest, it is the best. With Cindy Williams, myself, and other members of our Wanderlust Campus team, you cannot go wrong. So I want to invite you to travel with me. Go to www.wanderlustceo.com/sail. The link's in the show notes, not in the comments. That's an Instagram girl for you. The link is in the show notes, and I hope you will sail with me. Okay, y'all. Now, I posted this last week. I say this all the time, and I'm going to give my very best friend and former business coach a shout out here. But repeating yourself is essential in your marketing plan. If you are trying to come up with a new concept or a brand new thought or new content every single day, you're missing the point. Repeating yourself is marketing. So this was years ago, literally like almost 5 years ago now. And I was just starting my business, and I had a business coach named Sydney. If you're listening, Sydney, thank you for everything. Sydney is now also one of my very best friends in the entire world. But Sydney said to me, I said to her, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. I'm just repeating myself. And Sydney said to me, do you think Nike ever gets tired of saying, just do it? Repeating yourself makes you memorable. When you repeat yourself over and over again, you do have to, again, marketing, you have to do this in a creative way. But when you repeat yourself, people remember it. You are reminding them. So the data on repetition is something like an average from 7 to 23 times for someone to take initiative. So 7 if you're really connecting hardcore, 23 times if they are not as engaged. And so if you are only saying something once, also let's throw in the algorithm and assume that your content is only being seen by a third of your audience. So let's say they see a third of what you're putting out there, and they need to see it at least 7, as much as 23 times to possibly take action. How can you expect them to do that if you're only saying it one time? You have to repeat yourself. I was literally in a call with someone this evening, and she said to me, I just feel like I'm saying the same thing. I feel like I've already said this. And so we went back through her content and looked at posts from about a year ago and came up with new ways to post about the things that she posted about a year ago. When people tell me that they are stuck on ideas, I always tell them to go back to their best performing content from a year ago or 6 months ago and decide how they can repost that. Of course, we want to use our business goals. You know that that's important. But if you're really needing to remember what works, go back to the insights. But all this is easier said than done. All of this is important. You know this, you know you need to repeat yourself, but there are some things that we can do to make it easier to repeat yourself. I mean, let's just think about what repeating yourself means. If you're repeating yourself and you're repeating crap content, then it's not going to help you. So we have to also have a strategy. Repeating yourself alone is not a strategy. You have to have the strategy that you're going for in order to be able to repeat that message. And so if we are talking about understanding what we need to be repeating, then we have to understand our messaging. And your messaging is what it all comes down to, right? What it is that you want your ideal clients to think of when they think of you. When you are building your travel business, what do you want a potential traveler to think of when they think of you? So I'm going to give you a few tips on picking your messaging, but let's start with the most simple thing. Y'all, sometimes I give you homework. I think you know this, but sometimes I give you homework, and today's homework assignment is you are going to write out your 5 key messages. Your 5 key messages that you are going to repeat through over and over again. And we're going to talk about different things that we can do with those 5 key messages. But essentially, those 5 key messages, everything in your content is going to revolve around that. So, what do you want your ideal client to remember about your service? What would you want them to remember most about your travel planning service? Okay. I want you to think about things like this is one of a kind versus one size fits all. So, you know that I talk a lot about like they can Google their ways, they can Pinterest their ways to a vacation, but it's a one size fits all. That's a one size fits all approach, whereas you are planning a one of a kind thing, right? So that would be something you want them to remember. What is it that you want them to remember? You have to write your own messaging. Don't use mine. But what would you want them to remember? What topics, what questions do you feel like are the most asked, or what leads to your most closings when it comes to vacations? So what is the main point that people are like, yes, I need that. Like, I need your service. What leads them there? Is it the information overwhelm? Is it, I don't want to do this, I want someone to do this for me? Is it not knowing where to start? Is it budget concerns? Is it too complicated to put it all together? What leads back to that big conversion the most? What topics is it that you help with that leads people? And this may be in your content, but most likely you are seeing this in your sales calls when you are providing a proposal and quotes for your clients, where you see their eyes light up. If you're not doing your proposals on video, like on Zoom, you're missing out, because this is what I'm talking about. Like seeing their eyes light up when you tell them, oh, I'm going to handle that for you. When does the light switch come on? When does that light be like, yep, I want that. I need that. That's for me. Or even in an email, I really prefer video, but even in an email, like what is what you say? And then you get the response back from them. And it's like, yes, that's what I need. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so relieved. I'm so glad you're going to do that for me. Think about those things. Okay. That's a point of your message. And then I want you to think about what problems that you want ideal clients to think about you solving the most. And think about feelings and transformation. I say transformation and people always are like, I'm a travel agent, I don't do transformation journeys. Yes, you do. What problem are you solving that allows them to have the vacation of their dreams? What kind of vacation are they looking for? What's keeping them from having that? And how do you fix it? So just choose a few key problems that you want to really be associated with fixing and start there. So you're going to create 5, use these 3 tips to create 5 key messages that you're going to rotate through. And then you're going to turn those key messages, that's going to go into your content. Your key messaging is going to live in that content. So whatever those 5 statements are, and it doesn't have to be like a sentence. It can be like whatever your message is. They should be living and breathing in everything that you put out into the world, your blogs or whatever, everything. And you can do this in so many different ways. I mean, you can do something in, a plain old statement where you are sharing just the basic of the problems that you solve, the services that you provide, that aha moment I was talking about, just a simple, I'm stating this outright. Creating this in your carousels and your educational content where it's talking about 5 ways to stop the overwhelm when planning your next cruise vacation, all of those things. But I want you to think about the most important pieces. When we say, so people a lot of times will talk about shareable content. And it's so funny because in order for it to be shareable content, you've got to create something that the ideal client wants to share with their friends and family, because their friends and family are probably your ideal client too. And that means it has to be something that makes them think of something, right? Like, so maybe it's a meme or a GIF and it's like toddlers run amok, right? Like, it looks like they're herding cats or something, and it's like what mom feels like on vacation. But in the caption, it talks about how you help keep that from happening. Those things are shareable content, but in order for that to happen, you've got to understand the key message that you're trying to portray, because you're going to talk about either one of those problems that you solve or that aha moment, that key service or key thing that you do that makes everybody go, yes, I want that. You have to understand that within your ideal client so well that you can pick out these memes and these GIFs or a fake tweet or a quote that's going to get to the heart of how they feel. Sometimes it's going to make them giggle. Sometimes it's going to make them be like, yep, that's me. And sometimes it's going to make them put it all up in their feels. But all of those things are things they're going to share. I have a friend, she's on Facebook. I don't plan vacations anymore. She went to Disney last week. I mean, and this is an acquaintance. Like I don't know her well. She went to high school with my oldest son. But she, had just taken her 2 youngest kids to Disney, and I've watched, I love to watch them go, whether we plan the vacation or I don't plan. My daughter-in-law took over my business. But anyway, whether anybody that I know has planned the vacation or not, I love to watch them go to Disney because I love it. So anyway, she took her kids to Disney, and they're very young. I would say the youngest one is probably 18 months and the oldest one maybe 2, maybe 3. And she made a big long post about like remembering and seeing it. And I almost screenshotted it. I might go back and get the content anyway and screenshot it and take her name off of it. And I might just reach out to her and message her and ask her if I can use this. But she was talking about how they won't remember it, but she will, seeing the magic through their eyes, watching the excitement, watching the fireworks. Like, she put her emotions into words. And there were like 25 things right there that could be like key messaging and shareable content, especially shareable content for a travel agent who that would be the ideal client for. And she mentioned a couple times in there that it was worth spending the money. So I know that budget was probably on her mind, but that it was worth it and all of those things. And taking little bits of that emotion and putting that into a small, bite-sized little quip that can be written and consumed and read quickly and shared is going to make shareable content. Again, it has to come through your your key messaging. We're going to go back over that in just a second, but creating that shareable content is going to help you get more reach. And I think personally, creating shareable content is the hardest content to create. For me, I am always surprised when I see my content get shared because I feel like I create savable content better than shareable content. Every once in a while, I'll hit the nail on the head with like a trend or a meme that will make a travel agent giggle and they want to share it. But I'm due better with creating content for Wanderlust Campus on the shareable front. But I think creating shareable content for travel agents is difficult because most of the time it's not. It's much more about learning about your service and your business. So understanding how to create those pieces of content that tie into your key messaging and emotionally connect, whether, again, it's making them laugh or get all up in their feels, emotionally connecting with the ideal client is going to do two things for you. It's going to pull them in, but it's also going to help you reach more people. So it's pulling them into you and also spreading the message further out. Oh my goodness. So those key messages, hold on, I'm going back in my notes. So one more time about your key messages. I want you to pick or write out 5 of your key messages. These are the things, this is what you're going to repeat yourself on over and over and over again. These are not content topics. Let me say that again. These are not content topics. Content topics stay the same. We went over, if you haven't already, I did a subscriber live. No, was it a subscriber live or everybody live? Was it I think it was last Friday. So it was everyone. I did a live and I went really in depth on building a content strategy, and your key messaging is not your content strategy, but it is going to help you understand what to put in your content plan. And so your content, let me, just in case you haven't listened to other podcasts before, if this is your first podcast, your content strategy is the skeleton that you build your content on. Your content plan is the calendar, essentially, that you lay out. It's how many times a week you're going to post. It's your stories. It's your lives. It's your reels. It's your carousel posts. It's the whole kit and caboodle when it comes down to like the plan that you have. And the messaging weaves in through there. The topics that you're creating are based on your service, your ideal client. They're based on your business goals, like what you're trying to sell more of this month, whatever. But your messaging plays a part into that. But you're going to keep repeating these messages over and over again. These are the problems I want to be most associated with. Maybe you pick 2 of the problems that you want to be most associated with. That aha moment we were talking about. That like, again, if you're not doing this on video where you can see their eyes light up when you explain that this is what I do, but that aha moment. So maybe you do one of those aha moment things, and then you do 2 of what you want to be remembered by. Maybe that's the feeling they get after they take one of your vacations, like the memories that were made, like get on the feels of that, or the adventure that was had, or the high detail and high service that was provided to them, or whatever. Like, write that out. And so, whatever feels right to you, but a couple problems, the aha moment, and a couple of things that you want them to remember after they've had your vacation. Like, again, it's the after effect, what you want them to remember about you and your service. And And those are the key messages that everything falls through. You can rewrite it. You can have ChatGPT rewrite those things 100 different ways, but say it over and over again in your messaging, in your posts, in your captions, in your reels, in your lives. Use the words, because when you're not repeating yourself, I'm telling you, you're wasting your breath. You have to be a broken record. You have to be, because it gives you it. If that's what you're known for, that's how you become the go-to person. If you are constantly saying something new, anyone who lands there or who hasn't seen your content has no idea what you're talking about. It really helps people take action when you repeat yourself. All of those things are so important. You have to say the same thing over and over and over again. The other thing about repeating yourself, when you repeat yourself, people believe what you say because you're saying it and you are reaffirming these things. So take these five key messages, utilize those. As always, I want to know what you thought, how you felt about these key messages. I would be really interested for you to drop one or all 5 of your key messages that you write out in my DMs. If you're not following me already, it's at Kelly, Kelli, Hayes Smith. I hang out on Instagram more than anywhere else. And I am really interested to see what you come up with for your key messages. If you have any questions, as always, I like to head out there. Also, I was playing around on some new features on the host podcast, where I host my podcast, and apparently I can add in some Spotify playlists. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, I'm going to try to add some playlists for this episode. If it doesn't work out, don't come at me. I'm going to do my best. We'll see what happens. All right, y'all. If anyone is traveling to Disney in the next week, my family and I will be there Thursday of this week through Thursday of next week. And then if anyone is visiting the Las Vegas Travel Agent Forum in Vegas, I check in there, I think the 23rd through the 28th. I think that's right. Please find me. I am speaking in a marketing session. Wanderlust Campus will have a table at the trade show. So if you are going to be there, I hope you'll come by and say hi to me. So I look forward for you all to hear the next new episode that will drop next Tuesday while we are at the parks. And then I think I'm going to try to record a podcast at the Vegas Travel Agent Forum about some things that I have learned from there for that next Tuesday. All right, friends, have a great rest of your night, your day. I'm sorry, I am literally recording this tucked into bed. So have a great rest of your day whenever you're listening to this. And I hope I hear from you on Instagram. Bye, y'all. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Social Takeoff Podcast. I'm so glad you were here. Make sure you're following along on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and pretty much anywhere else. You can find me at Kelly Hayes Smith everywhere there's social. And make sure you leave us a review. That's one way that we get to bring you more content each week. And we'll see you back here next Tuesday for an all-new episode of the Social Takeoff Podcast.